We are going to have more questions today so that our people have time to ask questions and get the responses. Thank you very much. The table and the microphone is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so sorry for the delay. We had a little fluctuating in network, okay? So let me make it a quick one so we can finish on time so you can bring out your questions, okay? So right now, let me remind you what we did last week, okay? Because you see, what we are doing here is not just coming on live and talking and teaching. We are carrying out a community who will move on to pass out a legacy. So last time we talked about Africa and Nigeria in perspective, okay? We started from 1833, we talked about the Kumeku War, we talked about the Berlin Conference, 1884, 1885. Then we moved to what King Leopold of Belgium did to the Congolese, estimated number to 8 to 10 million people that were pied. Mind you, I'm using the word pie because of the censorship of the algorithm, okay? And then we moved to the formation of the West African Company that was formed by George Gordy in 1879, and then we moved to 1886 when that company was given what a royal charter that now made it become Royal Niger Company. Then we moved to 1879, and then we moved to 1899. That is when it was sold for 865,000 pounds, bought by British when Nigeria became their property. And then we now moved to 1914 amalgamation. We talked about all those histories in perspective. We talked about Africa. We talked about how we can unite. And today we have been looking into a very serious topic. But listen, the topic we prepared for you today is a very sensitive one. We are talking about, because most of our audience are Nigerians in perspective. If you look at that flyer, you'll be looking at Biafra Nigeria history, okay? But because we have different people from different demographic all around Africa listening to us, we are going to be doing you a little favor by talking about other ethnic groups once in a while. But have it in mind that Nigeria and Biafra is the perspective, okay? Now pay attention, very important. We will be looking at the military structure of Nigeria before 1966, and then we'll be looking at South-South as a political creation. You know, that was what we said we were going to teach this week. South-South as a political creation. But to make you understand better, I cannot just go straight and start telling you South-South as a political creation. I am going to start from the creation of the first thing that became a region in Nigeria. Do you understand? So we are starting not just from 27th of May 1967. We are going to be starting from the very beginning. That is, we are going to be starting from 1939, and then we are going to trace antecedents from 1939. We are going to move to 1946 to 1954, and then we move to 1963, and then from 1963 we move to 1976 to 1987 to 1991 and 1999. So it is a whole roller coaster I'm taking you. So join me in that ride. But then something is happening in the Nigerian space, which I'm going to give you as a bonus before we go into that topic today. Honorable Speaker, I'm going to take your permission about that because, you know, this I'm about to talk is a timely information that needs urgent dressing. So let me just give a little head to it before we move. Are you aware of the history textbook that has been published in Nigeria? A whole lot of people from Nigeria sent it to me in my comment section telling me that a textbook was published in Nigeria that excluded the Igbo tribe. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, that it did not include the Igbo tribe.
Good. Will you want me to give a little expression to it before we move to the topic, or should we just go straight to the topic and leave it?
No. Whatever we need to know. This is a recent one, so it's part of it. So enlighten us.
Okay. Now listen and pay attention, Akebulan. Pay attention, my people. You see, people came to me and asked me, Town Crier, look, history was reintroduced to the Nigerian academic activity, and a particular tribe was carefully exempted. And I decided to look into it. So I asked them to give me the book. The book was sent to me. I went through the book and I laughed. You see, the first question I asked, I said, this particular book, was it approved? My team reached out to the Ministry of Education in Nigeria, and one of them who represent them told us that the book has not yet been approved by the Ministry of Education. But I said something to them. I said, one of my people on social media told me that his son brought the book from school. And he said, oh, it's like some schools are already using it without approval. And that's where we have to come in. Listen, before a work be used as a writing material, especially in history, there are different stages and categories it must go through. We must understand that history is not mathematics. History is not English. You know, in mathematics, you can use different formulas to arrive at the same answer. In English, there are so many antonyms and synonyms that means the same thing. Opposite in meaning, yes in meaning, you are still going to make your sentence. But there's something about history. In history, if it is not black, it is not black. If it's not white, it's not white. And for those who are historical aficionados, you must be very careful, because when you are teaching history, you are not just teaching history to living people, you are teaching history to even the people who have gone to the great beyond. So when you intentionally distort a particular history that belongs to a particular race, you are also doing a disfavor to people who are no longer living, because history is not fiction, history is not a story, history is not opinion, history is not your own perspective, history is not assumption or presumption. History is a real life event that happened with date and fact that must come into consideration. Now, before a book becomes a working act, you must look into what? First, that book must pass through what we call academic review. Number one, the book must pass through academic review. Number two, the book, if it happens to be a historical book, that book must pass through historical verification. 3, that book must pass through checks and balance. 4, that book must pass through what we call national interest assessment. National interest assessment. After the book must have passed through these stages, then that book can be getting to be used as a teaching material in schools, especially when you are teaching young ones. Now pay attention. A lot of people came with so many excuses and said, no, you don't blame the writers for exempting the Igbo people in Nigeria. Reason being that the Igbo history is intertwined with Nigerian history, that you can't talk about the Igbo history without talking about the Nigerian Biafra civil war, and that's the topic that everyone wants to avoid. But let me teach you something very important. Pay attention. Whenever someone brings that argument, this is what you tell the person. Listen, you see, I have taught history to different people. In fact, I am the first teacher to introduce history to a group of students from where? From primary 2. I start teaching them history. Why? Listen. History is not just a topic. History is an academic lesson that has different stages and categories guided by principles and rules. Rules. Pay attention to the word rules and guidelines. Listen. If you say you can't teach the Igbo history without talking about the Civil War, then you don't know what history is all about. Let me teach you. Listen, pay attention. You see, when you want to teach history in a country like Nigeria, because you must know that Nigeria is not a single story nation. Nigeria is a multi-ethnicity, multi-historical society. Nigeria is a plural society, is a complex society. But mind you, the complexity of Nigeria is not its weakness. It is its reality. What does that mean? It means that when you want to teach history to Nigerian people, you must take into different things into perspective. Number one, what you are writing and what you are teaching, one, must be accurate. 2, it must be balanced. 3, it must be complete. 4, there must be fair hearing. And 5th, there must be inclusion. Inclusion. And there must be patience. Patience requires you to go into details, because being a historical writer is not beans. It calls for attention. That attention, it what requires you to pay attention to details, because when you miss a detail, you can mislead people. So what do? The Igbos right now are agitating about that book because they felt neglected. They felt they are not included. It is the work of those writers to make sure that they include everyone. Now you can be telling me town crier, Nigeria had so many ethnic groups. If they are to write about everyone, the book will be cumbersome. Let me teach you why the book will not be cumbersome. You see, when you are writing about a historical perspective of a country like Nigeria, do you know what you do? You consider, listen so you don't misquote the town crier. You consider major, look at my hand, major ethnic groups. Now, mind you, major ethnic group does not equal the most important ethnic group. That we say the major ethnic group does not mean that they are the most important ethnic group. Major here in the sense of the land mass that they occupy and the population of that ethnic group. You consider them and then you introduce the other ones that you call minor ethnic groups. Minor in quote, no one is minor, but when we say minor, minor does not equal importance and sequence. Do you understand? Now, what do? How do you teach the Nigerian history to students? Because that book is for JSS 1, JSS 2, and JSS 3. So how do you teach it? This is how you teach it. Listen, if you say you can't teach a particular entity in Nigeria their history without calling a Nigeria, then you don't know history. Why? Because every ethnic group in Nigeria is older than Nigeria. Nigeria started existing in 1914. These ethnic groups have been here from time immemorial. So all you need to do is to dig deep. Because what you do to such students is first, you do what we call earliest societies. You tell the student about the early societies. You teach them about what? Cultural formation. You teach them about political structures. And then you teach them what we call colonial expansionist period. Do you understand? Well, by the time you express these 4 topics, you have not touched Civil War. Because you are trying to protect the mind of the junior students. It is from SS1, SS2, SS3 that you start teaching them about the Civil War. Do you understand? Now pay attention. See, there are different categories and stages of history. 1, you have political history. You have social history. You have cultural history. You have economic history. You have pre-colonial history, colonial history, and post-colonial history. I hope you are writing it down. Let me mention it again so you can get it. You have political history, cultural history, social history, economic history, pre-colonial history, colonial history, and post-colonial history. Now, if you happen to be a writer of such a book, do you know why this topic is important? It is important because when you make a mistake in a classroom, when you teach young minds, that mistake you made in that classroom can cause a national disharmony. Because they are young minds. What they know is what you teach them. They don't know there's something that you remove. So when you say, no, the Civil War cannot be taught, the Civil War cannot be taught, it is not your duty to decide what will be taught. Your duty is to teach. Do you understand me? Because listen, when you remove a particular section of history from the curriculum saying that it is ugly, what you are doing is not pedagogy. What you are doing is distortion. It is distortion. You are carefully misplacing narratives, and that makes you a narrative. That is exactly what the writers of that book. Thank you. What the writers of that book did is exactly what we are accusing the white men of doing. What did the white men do? The white men came to Akeboland. When I say Akeboland, I'm talking about Africa. You came to Africa. You saw us as kings. You saw us as queens. And then you went home and wrote that you saw us as barbarians. You saw us naked. You saw us primitive. You saw us Shibolite. You saw us antediluvian. So we are saying no. You must correct the history. You must correct it. So if we are fighting the conceptual West to correct the lie they told about us, why will we be telling lies about ourselves in our own Africa? It's not right. It is not right. No one should be allowed to write a historical book without taking elements of writing historical books into perspective, which is what? Balance, which is completeness, which is patience, which is accuracy, which is inclusion. When you don't do it, listen, in law we say justice denied, justice delayed is justice denied. In history we say history removed is history denied. There's no two ways about it. It's not only your country that have what looks like a ugly history. Do you understand? Let me teach you something. Pay attention. South Africa has what is called apartheid history. Apartheid history. How is history being taught in South Africa? Let me teach you. The first stages of people are being taught the pre-colonial African society. When you are finished teaching them the pre-colonial African society, okay, then you teach them what is called social African cultural organizations. Then, when they have gotten to senior secondary school, then you start teaching them apartheid regime. You cannot say, oh, apartheid is ugly. Because apartheid is ugly, let's not teach them. No! Listen, when people find out that you are hiding something in history from them, that is when they are keen to know it. Look at America. How do you teach history in America? I mean, United States of America. First, you teach about the Aboriginals, which are the Red Indians. And then, you start teaching about the early colonial arrivals. That is where you bring what? Christopher Columbus. Then when the children are getting to 13 to 17 years, you start teaching what is called structural and political foundations, and then you bring African American history, and then you bring immigrant community histories. That is how it is. But what I want you to refrain is, some people are saying, what do you think? When a Yoruba man wrote history book about a country, definitely they will exempt the Igbo man. No, don't be part of the people that say that. Listen, I told you that if you cannot reason beyond ethical sentiment, you are a liability to mankind and a problem to humanity. Those people that wrote that book do not constitute the general idea of the Yoruba people. We are building an African community that calls you out for the evil that you do and not your nation. So the people that wrote that book made a mistake, and I think the Minister of Education in Nigeria has looked into it and they have withdrawn that book. That book will not be used as a working material in the Nigerian society. It can't, because it does not reflect the entire historical perspective and background of the Nigerian people. I hope that has been done justice to. So let's go to our topic for today. Thank you so much.
All right. Before you go there, I want to make some eye-opening, guys. This program is held every Friday, 7 p.m. Nigeria time. Everyone is welcome. I welcome you, Best of Billion. Welcome, brother. I don't have much time to acknowledge everyone. I'm seeing you guys. What we encourage is, please, if you can subscribe, if you can send, make sure you are sending heart me. The person here is somebody that, if you are in the social media space, you know that he is the one trending everywhere on social media about history. It is so key about history of Africa. And because this is not taught in the university, I thought it wise that we should bring him to educate us. So what we plead is sponsorship. If you want to sponsor us, if you want to, first of all, make sure you are following us, sending heart to me. And then if you can give, it is welcome. Write your question down. We don't want any distraction. As we move, we are going to move as fast as UK trend, and we're going to take your questions as soon as the education is done. I'm not going to be acknowledging everyone individually. If I don't, please do not take it personal. Your question is going to come at the end of the program. Please make sure you send a heart me and make sure you are following, and then consult us if you want to sponsor the next week program. God bless you. As we give back the microphone to the modern day town crier. Welcome.
Thank you.
So today we we are going to be looking at number one. I'm going to look at the three things actually before the question. And the first thing is the colonial military structure, and the second one is the state creation, and then the last one, road to Nigeria civil war. So these are the things we are going to be discussing today. I hope you have time and you don't have another program before that, because we are going to entertain all the questions. Like last week, we did only one we attended. Guys, we are going to do it. I want to remind you that he has given us 2 books we are giving out for free, and we are considering those who are showing appreciation and love through this live goal. So if you can send gifts, if you can subscribe, if you can whatever you can do, make sure you are part of it, and then chat me after the program. I will send you the books, the 2 books, very important books of history that I'm going to send you at the end. Then you will read and enjoy yourself. Thank you very much. Thank you. So the topic, I hope you've taken note of the topic and then dismantle them for us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you. I'm going to run as much as possible.